Scar from The Lion King, the Darkling from the Grisha trilogy. People love to hate the bad guys, which is why you should get your antagonist right. Hey guys, I'm Marilyn and welcome back to another Writing Tips Friday. I hope that you guys will enjoy this video where I share 5 tips on writing awesome antagonists. The first thing is to remember that not all antagonists are villains. When I think of a villain, I think of someone with sinister or evil intentions. You know, it has the word vile right in there. So this is someone who wants to rule the world, who uses dark magic and ruins nature, who kicks puppies, things like that. An antagonist isn't necessarily someone with evil intentions. It can be a rival to your protagonist. It can even be a very overprotective loved one. Perhaps it's even an aspect of the protagonist themselves. Think of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So if you want to write an antagonist that may or may not be a villain, then the 4 tips following are definitely for you. Tip number 2 is one I cannot emphasize enough. Motivation is the holy grail. Your antagonist shouldn't be evil for the sake of being evil. The best example of this is Iago from Shakespeare's Othello. Yes, I'm saying Shakespeare also made some mistakes. If you're writing a children's book or a melodramatic stage play, then it may be fine to have your villain just be there to oppose the main character's good. But if you're writing anything middle grade or higher, this isn't going to cut it anymore. Most people in the world, even the most vile ones, believe that they are doing good, or at least that they are doing normal. Your antagonist should have reasons for doing what they're doing. They should believe that they are doing the best thing that they can. Even if this goes into a very twisted goal or intention, you have to show where it comes from. When you think of the evil queen in Snow White, yes, that is her vanity is the reason she is the antagonist in that story. But it can't just be, oh, she's vain. You have to show the flaws in the society that made her that way. So this just means that the antagonist has a motivation that opposes your protagonists. It can't just be, this person is evil, bam. The third tip is near invincibility. You can have more than one antagonist in your novel, but the big baddie should be really big. This means that it should seem impossible for your protagonist to ever beat that antagonist. I suggest doing this with small conflicts littered through, in which your protagonist always comes out at the shortest end and has to face the consequences of that. At the beginning of your book, the antagonist should be way stronger and better at whatever it is they do than your protagonist. It should only be at the end, at the very climax, that your protagonist manages to overcome the antagonist. Otherwise, it's going to be a really flat novel. Your readers aren't really going to feel the tension for your character because the antagonist isn't that big of an obstacle. So you have to build it up. You have to make it clear this is not going to be an easy foe to overcome. The next thing you can do to really make your antagonist pop is antagonistic plot twists. So here you can go with your own imagination, your own inspiration. These will mostly deal with preconceived notions of who the villain is. So perhaps the antagonist that your main character thought was the big baddie all along is actually just another minion. Maybe one of the good guys is actually the big antagonist. Maybe the antagonist ends up having the better philosophy or plan. Maybe the system is the real bad guy and not the actual antagonist. Maybe the antagonist is just a figment of your protagonist's imagination, like in Black Swan. These are really things that you can use to make the conflict in the novel very interesting and introduce great plot twists. So use preconceived notions of who the villain is supposed to be to your advantage and play with surprise. And then finally, let's talk about redemption. This can be quite controversial, but I believe that sometimes antagonists can and should be redeemed. Obviously, if your character committed genocide or poisoned kittens or things like that, they're gonna have a lot of explaining to do. My suggestion in terms of this would be to have a life-altering event for that antagonist. I think in that case you can maybe even call it a villain. That antagonist should experience something that changes their world view absolutely. And for me personally, I want to see them suffer. I want to know that there is some form of retribution for all the absolutely evil things that this character has done. If your antagonist is more in the line of just having a different point of view or having been influenced by society differently, then this is a little bit easier since they aren't, absolutely vile human beings to begin with. But they should still show remorse for what they did. You can't redeem a character just willy-nilly like that. They don't even have to say sorry. That's not how it works. You need to make that antagonist suffer before they can be redeemed. If you want an example of a great redemption arc, watch Avatar: The Last Airbender and follow Zuko's story closely. I personally believe he has one of the best redemption arcs in fiction history. So those are the tips on writing great antagonists that I have for you guys. Next week's video will deal with writing great protagonists. So make sure that you subscribe and hit that little bell so you don't miss that upload. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a like and a share. Remember to comment if there are any videos that you would like to request. As always, you can find me on my website, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. All the links are listed below, and then I will see you guys next week. Bye!